the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Tonight on DC News Now, former President Donald Trump indicted, the latest on a historical legal fight making waves across the country. And we have some breezy conditions right now, but we are expecting it to get a lot worse. We'll have a check on your weekend forecast. Also stretching your dollar when prices remain high and in the end of the month means payments are due. We'll have which programs are helping families that are falling behind. And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 5. I'm Mark Hall, taking a live look outside tonight where we had warmer temperatures with some parts of the DMV hitting the 70s. But strong winds are on the way as we're preparing for a DMV First Warn Day tomorrow. Heading over now to Chief Meteorologist Janessa Webb and Meteorologist Damon Matson with a check on your weekend forecast. And Janessa, what are we expecting to see tomorrow?
We have a high impact weather day, and it's really the winds that we're mainly concerned here across the DMV. David Matson is going to break down that forecast, but we want to give you kind of the history of this storm system that started in the Pacific Northwest. We have a tornado outbreak that is currently unfolding across the central U.S. I was hearing some storm chasers call this the worst tornado outbreak we've seen in the last decade. And so right now you have 20 million people that are currently under some kind of a tornado watch that extends into the Midwest down to the deep south. So we're going to watch that, and kind of that teal color is what we're concerned here across the DMV with wind warnings and watches and advisories that are currently in place. This is the first time in 2 years that SPC has pulled the cord on putting a high risk of severe storms in two places, one for the Quad City, and it extends down to Jonesboro, Arkansas, Memphis as well. And so really right now we're watching this storm system to our west and taking kind of this live look. We've had the metro area, the northern side of Arkansas, a funnel cloud, and we're waiting for confirmation of a tornado that has caused all this damage that you're currently seeing on your screen. And so we will wait for the National Weather Service to really issue what rating scale we are seeing with this tornado. But you can see ambulance and people coming out and really assessing the damage, and thank goodness we're not hearing any loss of life. So I do want to take a current look of what's happening in central Arkansas. If we can go back to radar, where they're currently under that tornado watch, it does look like we have severe thunderstorm warnings that are about to lift north and east into Arkansas once again, out towards a tornado warning just to the south of that as well. Currently, it does look as a whole, we have about 6 to 8 tornado warnings that are currently in place that spread from the Quad City down to the deep south. This is a dual-sided system. The northern half is going to provide a good amount of snow. We have softball-sized hail that is currently coming down just outside of Illinois into Chicago, and damaging wind gusts. That's the primary threat on the northern half, and then the southern half we are talking about tornado damage. Why are we telling you this? How does this impact the DMV? Really, this is a strong storm system that's going to track into the East Coast, and our concern first and foremost is the rain that is about to make its way in, and then secondly, the reason why we've issued a DMV First Warn Day for your Saturday is the very gusty conditions. To break that down, we have meteorologist Damon Matson.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Janessa. Again, our main concern here across much of the viewing area is going to be the wind as we go into the day on Saturday and beyond as well into even Sunday morning here. We had high wind watches already issued earlier today, but as of 2:30 this afternoon, those high wind watches were changed over to high wind warnings. That's what you see here in the light green that cover pretty much the entire DMV at this point. This was just expanded south into portions of southern Maryland down to Fredericksburg, Virginia as well. What you see here in the blue, those are wind advisories covering those last couple of counties all the way down to the south. But we have these high wind warnings in place because wind gusts are going to be approaching 40 to 60 miles an hour throughout much of the day tomorrow, and again into your Saturday night as well. Now, as far as those gusts are concerned, this evening it's not too bad. We're seeing some gusts at 20 to 30 miles an hour, so definitely breezy as we go through the night. Even into your Saturday morning, we're going to still have those winds a little bit calmer, if you will, but they will pick up in intensity rapidly after midday on Saturday. That's when the strong cold front with this system sweeps in. And what you're looking at here, folks, in the orange and the red, those are localized wind gusts that could hit 40 to 50 miles an hour into D.C., the I-95 corridor, the eastern half of the viewing area, and the red right there to the west. Those are those 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts that will be easily enough to cause tree damage, structural damage, possibly even some power outages. So ask yourself that question. Do you live near a tree or something that could get blown over by these strong winds? You have to take these kind of things into consideration, as you could be putting yourself at risk if you're near something like that that can be knocked down easily by these very strong wind gusts. And again, it's going to continue to stay extremely windy all the way into Sunday morning. Now, again, we have some rain working through with this system as well. When are we expecting that precipitation to roll through? And what about that more specific timing with the winds? We'll have that full check of the forecast in a bit. Back to Mark.
All right, Damon, Janessa, thank you very much. We'll check back with both of you throughout the newscast. So new tonight, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin has been criticizing the New York prosecutor who has pursued and received a grand jury indictment against former President Donald Trump. He tweeted about how this has been a leftist pursuit of the controversial president that the American people don't want. Our political and government reporter Leonard N. Fleming questioned the governor on this, and Leonard wasn't backing down.
No, he wasn't at all. In fact, if anything, he was doubling down that the prosecution of former President Donald Trump was eroding America's trust in its judicial system. Governor Youngkin made his thoughts be known about the grand jury indictment of Trump Thursday on Twitter. This is the left's continued attempts, he wrote, to weaponize our judicial system. Youngkin argues that the issue regarding alleged hush payments to porn star Stormy Daniels and ordered by Trump before he became president has already been dealt with in the federal court system. The former president was the first to be indicted in American history. Youngkin himself is eyeing a run at the presidency in 2024. Here's some of my conversation just an hour ago with the governor.
I don't know anything about hush money payments to prostitutes. It's not something that I know anything about. But what I do know is that when there has been an issue that has been dealt with, and then it continues to be dealt with again and again and again, I think it erodes people's faith in the judicial system. This is a prosecutor who told everyone he was going to go do this in order to get elected. I think we've just got to put this kind of politics down.
Meanwhile, Maryland Governor Wes Moore told DC News Now in a statement that, quote, no one is above the rule of law and that the governor is confident that the judicial system will ensure a fair process in this manner. Reporting live from Manassas, Virginia, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now, back to you.
Leonard, thank you. New tonight, a second woman has come forward with allegations that she was sexually harassed by John Falcecchio. Until 2 weeks ago, March 17th, Falcecchio was D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's chief of staff, as well as the deputy mayor for planning and economic development. The announcement of a new allegation comes from the same lawyers representing the first woman who came forward against Falcecchio earlier this month. The two women claim that Falcecchio's behavior was what they say predatory and reflects a long-standing pattern of sexual harassment. Lawyers said the woman who came forward today is seeking justice for herself and other survivors. The woman plans to work with investigators from the district who are looking into the matter, her lawyers said. Well, a Hagerstown man wanted for attempted murder has been taken into custody after a shooting incident earlier this week. 28-year-old James Michael Barnes is charged with second-degree attempted murder and first-degree assault, along with other charges. The Washington County Sheriff's Department says the shooting took place after an argument occurred in Morgansville area of Washington County. The victim was shot in the leg and taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Neighbors say a stray bullet hit a home near where the shooting happened.
One of the bullets went through the trees, came over here, hit a neighbor's house, went through a garage door inside.
Barnes is being held without bond at the Washington County Detention Center. Well, in Frederick County, Maryland, deputies are looking for a suspect who robbed a liquor store. It happened Tuesday on Old Gettysburg Road in Emmitsburg. The Frederick County Sheriff's Office says the suspect threatened the store clerk with a knife. He got away with thousands of dollars and stole the clerk's car. Deputies say the suspect ditched the car near the Maryland-Pennsylvania border. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Maryland State Troopers are investigating a grocery store robbery that happened early this morning. Troopers say it happened at the Safeway grocery store in Walkersville, Maryland. They say the suspect entered the store and threatened the cashier, saying that he had a knife. Troopers say he left with an undisclosed amount of money. We're told that the investigation is ongoing. And developing in the district, new details just in about a bullet shot through a Metro train last night. This happened around 7 in the evening at the Potomac Avenue Metro Station. Train service was shut down for a few hours while police worked to figure out exactly what was happening and if anyone was hurt. Now, this is the same station where a triple shooting killed a Metro worker nearly 2 months ago and injured 2 others. Last night, we were told that no one was injured. Well, here's the guy police are looking for. Transit police are accusing him of assault with a deadly weapon. They consider him armed and dangerous, and they're asking you to be on the lookout and call them if you have any information about him. Neighbors are also on high alert.
I think that if we have more police here, more transit, if they see the lights, it kind of deters people.
And a quick check at the bottom of your screen for the number to call if you have any information on the suspect. That's 202-962-2121. Police are also working tonight on what led to 2 men being shot on 295 near Kenilworth Avenue last night. DC News Now was the first to bring you that story. The shooting ended in a crash. Both men are hospitalized, and police also are working this hour to find whoever shot and killed a man on Kearney Street in Northeast last night around 10. As of today, homicides in the district are up 23% compared to this time last year.
All of a sudden, she grabs a knife from the drawer.
Did she hit him with the knife?
Like in the neck.
In the neck.
Yeah.
And the daughter of a former director of national intelligence is going to prison, convicted and now sentenced for murder. Sofia Negroponte has been sentenced to 35 years in prison for fatally stabbing her longtime friend in 2020 after an argument. January 3rd, Negroponte was found guilty of second-degree murder and the killing of 24-year-old Yusef Rasmussen. Sofia is the daughter of John Negroponte, the first director of national intelligence and a former United Nations ambassador during the George W. Bush administration.